Hey guys, this is Katie with Beauty Boss Saga, and we have Greta here, and she's on my team. She's amazing.
Hi.
And that's kind of why we're here, is just to kind of know a little bit about you and your story, how you got started, and this is going to be like a coaching session. So you can ask me all the questions. I'm going to give you all the answers if I have them, and just kind of help elevate each other in the industry, because if I help you, you help me, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your company name, and kind of how you got started.
Yeah, so, I mean, as you said, I'm Greta.
Yeah.
So, hi. My business is Greta's Bridal Glam, and I mean, I've not been in the industry too long. I've been with you not even a full year yet.
Yeah.
And then I have on my own, technically outside of like doing, families.
Sure, yeah. That's where
hair
we
makeup,
all start, yeah.
Right? Only for, I think this is like 3-4 years.
Okay.
I think this is like 3 years,
Nice.
like professionally.
Yeah.
Now. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really start on like growing the business up until like
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like last year, whenever someone else reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you do hair and makeup?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, yeah, I dabble. And they're
You're
like, "Oh,
sure.
cool. Do you want me to help you with weddings?" And I was like, sure.
I'm not ready. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out.
Kind of how my story started. Like, a friend of a friend asked me to do her makeup for her wedding, and I was like, I'm not qualified. I was thinking to myself, and then she's like, no, I think you're good. And I was like, okay. And then that's just kind of how it started.
That's your first mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it turned out great. So I know you worked at Ulta. What did you do before that? Was it beauty related at all?
Before that, I was a barista at Scooters.
Love it. Okay,
Scooters
coffee, makeup, those go hand in hand. Perfect.
It does, because that definitely was like kind of perfect for
customer service.
Oh yeah, because this was drive-through customer service. So I was at the window all the time. Yeah, and like if people were taking too long for like making the drinks or anything, I was there.
Where's
and I had
my
to keep. No, literally, I had to be the person to calm them down.
Yeah.
And be like, it's okay, which is literally what we do during all the makeup appointments.
For sure. I mean, they're go hand in hand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're still Ulta, right?
Yep.
Okay. How long have you been there?
I have been there a year and a half now.
Nice. That's a long time for that job.
Yeah. Compared to a lot of other people there, like I've seen so many different people come and go.
Yeah.
Within even a certain, like just one person come and go already twice.
Oh, wow.
But there are so many people there that have already worked there for like 4 or 5 plus years.
Wow.
And they just stay there.
Well, they're doing hair, right? Not makeup?
No.
Oh, they're doing makeup?
They're like, no, they're just there.
Retail sales.
Like retail sales, register.
Yeah.
Like.
That's different though, because I feel like, did you go in just in retail and then transition to makeup, or are you still just doing retail?
I'm still just doing retail.
Cool.
And I would like to go into more of like because I've applied for so many of their other positions, but it's only the fact that I do weddings and make more from weddings that I need my weekends.
Right.
So I can't work weekends.
It doesn't make
there.
sense. Yeah.
So that's why I've just sticked with
Smart.
Strictly retail. They've allowed me, carry around a brush belt. I'll do color matches and I will do little lessons.
Yeah. Like, here, this is what you should use. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of different tips. And
cool.
Yeah, so I'm on the floor for the most part.
Nice. And do you feel like that's been super helpful with like building a kit and understanding sales and like how it correlates with being like a makeup artist?
Yes, absolutely. Especially mainly because of like just looking at the different products, having to learning about the different ingredients and literally every single product, because every person will come in and they'll be like, oh, well, I have an allergy to this, and I'm trying to look up to see like, okay, which products do we need to avoid, which ones do we need to like choose.
Yeah.
Which ones are clean when they say they're actually clean, and which ones are not actually.
Just marketing. Yeah, for sure.
Just for the marketing and stuff like that. So it's definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So is there something you feel like you're struggling with balancing between like working and like contracting with bridal companies and doing Ulta at the same time? Like, do you feel like it's hard, or do you feel like they complement each other?
I feel like it complements each other, because whenever I say to people who like aren't, I guess, they don't know a lot about the business, and I say, oh yeah, well, I work at Ulta, they immediately think that, oh, I do services there. And so they if anything, it helps me out more because I feel like they can trust me even more. And then I'm like, no, I'm just in retail.
Well, you're not just I mean, you're right, but
yeah, mainly just
different.
retail. But I mean, it's still, I mean, it does, like, just them knowing, like, oh, I work at Ulta, like, I know
qualifies you.
Yeah, like, that's the little bit, mainly because also I'm not certified,
right?
Or I don't have any certificate or anything. Like, I'm all
self-taught.
Either self-taught or like you've taught me, mentored, all of that. So so that there's that little part where they're like, oh, okay, she's qualified a little bit.
Yeah, okay, she's got this. She works at like a makeup place. Yeah, cool. Is there anything that you feel like you're struggling with that you just wish you would have known a year or two ago that you now know?
Definitely how to be my own boss, because I was like, I could do this. I'm like, I make my own rules. And then there was, I don't even know if I've told you about this story, but there was one wedding that I actually did. It was with my husband, actually, because he's a photographer. So he hired me on to do the makeup and hair for a wedding that was 13 people.
Oof, yeah.
And they all wanted hair and makeup done. Or at least most of them wanted hair, but most of them wanted makeup.
26 services.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I gotta hire people on. So I hired my friend Claire on, and I hired one of my coworkers from Ulta because she did makeup on the side as well.
Oh, nice.
So I hired her on to do the makeup, but that left me with doing an odd number of makeup and then hair as well. I didn't even actually get to finish doing the bride's hair, and I had to have Claire, which was one of my mentors, finish her hair. Like I just prepped it, and then she. You
didn't have time, or what?
I didn't have time. Because of time crunch, because people, all of that. And I even gave
things
myself,
happen,
so it was really fun. But the main lesson that I learned from that one was I did not know how to be my own boss and how any of the money like kind of worked out from what I need to keep, what I need to pay them. And so I was just like, okay, that was also before I did the travel fee to and from. And I just did it too.
Oh, no.
So, so I did that. So, like, myself and my two artists, all of us got our travel fees. We all got the services that we paid for.
Nice.
Or that they paid for, that we did. And then that was it. But I left there an hour and a half after they did, because obviously I'm doing touch-ups. I'm trying to run around.
And you're the boss.
Like I have stress.
Yep.
Yeah. And I left there with $200 less than they did.
Yeah.
And I remember crying the entire way home. Because also I was very sleep deprived and very tired.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so like that lesson definitely taught me how to like be my own boss. I was like, okay, I gotta like lay my foot down. I'm like, because I'm such like a nice little.
You're like, yeah, you can have this much. And,
like I'm such like a nice person where I'm like, I feel bad that I'm like taking more money away from you, but I'm like, no. I'm hiring you on.
You're doing the work.
Yeah, I'm doing the work.
You have the stress.
Yeah, so that's definitely the part in my life, in my business that I learned, and I was like, okay, I need.
We have all been there. I promise you, we have all been there, and that's just part of like learning and growing and doing things because you don't know any better, and you're like you're working out of a place of like love, and you want to help other people and all those things, but in the end, it hurts you, and then you're working for free. So I was there not too long ago, like I know, and I think that's the other side of how like being a contracted artist versus running the business is understanding that what you're getting paid when you work for somebody else is going to be less because you don't have the stress and all, like managing that, and then you understand, and then you respect it a little bit more when you work for someone else when they are saying, hey, this is the rate that you're going to get paid. You're like, oh, okay, now I understand why, because like there's all of this work that has to be done that someone has to get paid for it.
Yeah.
Or you're working for free. And it's like, now you're the boss and you're doing all of that and you want to get paid for it. So it's not just about like doing the faces and like getting paid X amount of dollars.
Yeah, especially because it's like, okay, I'm doing what I love and like literally what is my passion that I would like, because I love it so much, I would do it for free. So it's like having that discipline with yourself that you're like, okay, I need to like actually... Like, this is something I'm good at and that I'm passionate about. I need to get something in return for this.
For sure. Yeah, and that's just kind of like understanding business and like growing in it. And so is there like any specific questions you have about like how to structure pricing or how to pay people out, percentages, all of that?
Yeah, so I actually, one of the questions I was going to ask you, because, like, I know I give, like, a certain amount to, like, my artists that I'll, like, send out. But what do you think is, like, a good percentage for, like, an individual person that will be paying other people? Like, what is the good percentage that you would take from them?
For you to keep and, like, what to pay out to them?
Yeah.
So in order to, like, manage everything, it's usually, you want to be under 50%. So if you're charging 80, give 40. So that's where it kind of sucks, because in the beginning you're probably not charging enough, and to hire the quality of work that you want to be seen, right? So it's like, okay, you're gonna your margin is going to be a little bit smaller when you have a lower price point, because you're like, hey, this person's not going to go for $40. Like, they're not. They're going to want 60 or 70, right? And then you're not. It's about balance. So there's going to be a lower percentage in the beginning that you're going to get paid, or that you're going to be able to pay out.
Yeah.
No, that you're going to profit. That's what I'm trying to say.
There you go.
Jesus. And then as you have systems in place and you get things in place and you learn more and you can find quality people that want to work for the rate that you're able to offer, then your profit margin is going to start growing. So, and then also you're going to have more costs. So that's kind of why your profit margin needs to be a little bit bigger, because you're going to have more things like a website and a planner and paying for storage for Google and, like, for your phone and, like, all of, so, like, more money, more problems, right? It's just how it goes. So I would say, and this isn't like cookie cutter, but as you grow and you become more of a sustainable business and you're hiring out people more and more and more, keep it under 50% or about 50. 50 to 60 is like the sweet spot, because you have overhead. Like when you have a building and when you're paying to rent a space for your artist to do a trial, like those costs are all included in that. So about 50% is like the sweet spot. But in the beginning, you just have to find people that are going to work with you and that it feels worth it for both of you. So, I mean, it's all relative depending on, like, where your price point's at. Yeah. Because if you're charging 70 and this person's not willing to work for less than 50, like, you don't really have a whole lot of profit margin there. So it's a little tricky. We can, like, fully get into the numbers if you want, like, off camera, and I can, like, show you all the things. But ultimately, every coach that I've ever had that I've learned about money and management, they say 50% is kind of the sweet spot for you to actually sustain your business and not lose money and work for free. Yeah. Because there is a lot of back end stuff that costs you money and a lot of time. So 50% is, like, the number that you want to try and achieve. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but in the beginning, I couldn't do that because I wasn't charging enough, and I needed quality help.
Yeah, because, like, I would also always add on, like, the extra artist fee, like, for,
because that helps.
Mine. It does help. And also early morning fees. I am just now starting to do that because I'm like, this is insane. Like, the wedding I did,
I'm up at 5.
yeah, like 2, 3, because also some of my weddings are in College Station.
That's
so
crazy.
I have to wake up literally at like 3 o'clock.
That's crazy.
And, like, drive.
I mean,
for a 5 o'clock wedding.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's fun. Which, I mean, hey, again, it's something that I love.
I mean, it's all part of just being confident in who you are and attracting those clients that are like, okay, I'll pay whatever fees you have. Because some people are like, oh, no, you're not worth it. So
which I've not had that yet, thankfully. So
yay, that's good. Yeah. So as far as, like, managing and building a team and making sure they stay around and paying them, but also making sure you get paid, have your pricing consistent, have a contract with people. Be like, hey, this is what you're going to get paid, and this is what it is. And if they have a complaint about it, be like, okay, well, then don't work for me. And don't be afraid to say, okay, well, I'm not going to pay you more just because you want it. Like, you have to earn it, and you have to be worth it. But also, it has to make financial sense for you, because you shouldn't be leaving an event making $200 less than everyone else doing more work. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And so now you know that. So moving forward, which kind of sucks, because now these people are used to whatever rate that you told them that you were going to pay them. Now they're going to expect that in the future. And you have to have that hard, awkward conversation like, hey, look, this doesn't make any financial sense for me to pay you X amount of dollars when that doesn't leave me any room to make any money, right? Yeah. So it's just, but that's just how you learn, and that's how you grow. So that's why it's important to have these conversations with people that know, so that way you don't have to go back and, like, change things and flip things and make it awkward and, like, ruin relationships sometimes, because people get weird about money. Oh, they do. They get really weird about money. They do. So, and these, I mean, literally every person I've talked to that has been in your situation that's going from, like, working at Ulta and then working with a team and then now having your own team, like that's the progression. It's like learning this skill and then doing it on your own and then working for somebody and then you being the one that hires out the help. Like these are just all growing pains that everyone grows through.
Yeah.
So
that's life.
So contract in place. It doesn't even have to be like long. It just has to be a piece of paper that says this is when you're going to get paid, how you're going to get paid. This is what I require as far as like how you should dress, because sometimes you have to talk about that. And just make sure that the pay is fair for everybody involved. And if they're not cool with it, then find somebody else. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
That's just how it is.
Now, as for like contracting as well. Yeah. For your contract to the clients, what is something that not a lot of people think about to put in their contracts?
I don't know, because I feel like everyone that I work with now, we all have seen the same things. I think the biggest thing for me when I was building my contract was late payments, like being paid on time, and then structuring how you're going to get paid. Everyone does it differently. But I personally do 50% upfront, and then the remainder 30 days before. And the reason I do that is because most people start running out of money 30 to 60 days before the wedding because everyone else is requiring them to pay their money. And they're like, oh, crap. And hair and makeup's probably one of the last things people think about. They're like, okay, I got the flowers, I got the venue, I got the food, I got decorations, I got this. And they're like, oh, crap, what about me? Right? We tend to just put ourselves last. Well, okay, hair and makeup is one of the last things I feel like some people think about.
Oh, it is.
Definitely. They're like, hey, can you do this and like do it for a discount? And you're like... Actually, no, I cannot.
Not only that, is also being like, getting a call, being like, hey, I totally forgot about, hair and makeup. Are you free in 2 weeks? And you're like,
no, actually, so sorry. Yeah.
No, the next free date available I have is like, 4 months from now.
Yeah. And then the last thing you want to do is, because this has happened to me, is take money day of. 1, it is super stressful.
Oh, yeah.
2, if they paid a deposit or a retainer, who knows who paid what, and it's very awkward. And the last thing you want to do is upset a bride about money on her wedding day. So if it's already paid, it's less stressful for everybody involved. You get to show up, you're getting paid that day because it's already been paid. But the flip side of that is making sure that you manage your money well. And a lot of people, because they're artists and they're like, whatever, life is good, let me just... Right?
Yeah.
They don't save that money. So I have a wedding in 14 months, and someone paid me... let's say $1,000 because it's a $2,000 gig. That $1,000 I should not be spending until that wedding actually happens because I have to pay myself. I have to pay other people. I have other costs associated with it. If I run out of mascara, I got to buy mascara for that event. Like you have, like that money's not spent yet.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's not spent. Like you shouldn't spend it. And then when the day comes, even that 30 days out, right? A lot can happen in 30 days. And you're like, crap, I need a new curling iron. Mine broke and that's $200. And I already spent all this money and now I don't have any money. Or you're running into, hey, I spent all this money because I needed it for bills and now I can't pay my team. Like you do not want to be in that situation. So
that's good.
I highly recommend separating accounts. Have a deposit or retainer account and then have your like user account. So I keep all of my like wedding retainers and money that shouldn't be spent yet into one account, and if I need it, I'll move it over, and when I'm doing payroll, I'll move it over for that event. So that helps a lot, is separating, because if you can't see it, you're not going to spend it. I'm like, oh, I got money in there, cool. Some people, they're like, oh, cool, I have money, let's spend it. And then some people are like, okay, now I know that $500 of this or $1,000 of this needs to go towards this. So it's easier to just, in my mind, just separate the two. And honestly, do whatever works best for you, but that's been the easiest transition for me to understand, like, where my money is, what I can spend, what I actually have to spend versus what's retainers and what's not.
Yeah.
So that gets very messy. I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, crap, I can't pay you because I don't have the money. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't be spending it.
No, and that's good because it's definitely not a lot of
people don't operate that way. But you should, and it'll save you a lot of headaches in the future and reputation with artists. Because if you're known for not paying your artists on time or like paying them what
100%.
You said you were going to pay them, it's just messy.
And also just in general, like just in life, that's also like just good tips and
agreed. In general, I'm like money management is really good. The other thing I think is setting aside a percentage of your income for education and learning and growing. I think that's one thing that people don't talk about or think about. That's important too. So as far as like financially setting yourself up for success, education, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. So save money for that and then just keep your retainers aside.
Yeah.
For sure. And then as far as contracts, like whatever you think is most important to you, and it'll always change. Every year you should be updating your contract to include things that you're like, oh crap, well this happened and I don't want that happen again. So let me include that in my contract. Like one time I had a very intoxicated bride,
Oh.
And it was really messy. And so I put in there that we have the right to refuse services to anybody for any reason. If you're belittling us or like, we have the right to refuse because we're service-based. Like, I don't have to have an excuse. Just, so right of refusal, payment stipulations are for sure. And then I would always keep either credit card or bank account information on file for anybody in case they add on services day of or they don't pay you for some reason or they're late. You can run that card or run that bank account for whatever they owe you.
Yeah.
So those are
because add-ons are always the fun time.
Yeah. And you can add that in your contract too. Like I can only add on, or if we're late, that's another one that I recently added. Yeah. If someone shows up an hour late and they expect us to get done on time, well, sometimes that's not possible. Sure, I can work really fast, but there's only so much I can do. Or if you're drunk or you have wet hair, like,
oh my
God knows what could happen.
Which I did find out that since I am not cosmetologist licensed or anything, I like legally cannot blow dry hair, which has made me actually so happy because I'm like, if you show up with wet hair, I'm like, you have to do that yourself. I'm so sorry. I actually can't do that. But like I definitely am like that's
happy about that.
Just because it's like, okay, that way they can't get mad at me and be like, oh, but you should be able to do this because I'm like, no, I'm sorry, like I legally cannot do that. Yeah.
Makes your life easier.
It does. No, it really does.
Cool. Yeah. Well, is there anything else, like, specifically that you're like, okay, I wish I would have known that? Or do you feel like you might run into in the future that you're like, I just don't know how to handle this situation?
Timeline, scheduling, and actually getting the girls' names down was one thing that I had a trouble with this last wedding that I did last weekend because I kept asking the bride for the name list. Yeah. And I even knew one of the bridesmaids, and I was like, hey, send me the name list. Yeah. And neither of them did up until, like, literally the day before. And this bride was up until 3 a.m., and she sent it to me 3 a.m. I had to wake up literally an hour after that.
Oh, my gosh.
So, because it was 2 hours away. And so I was like, okay, that's not going to really work, because obviously I can't let... Like, we can't let any of your bridesmaids know if this is your time slot.
Right.
So I told her, I was like, as long as you have someone awake that can be there
at this
time, then that's good. She can go and wake everyone else up.
Yeah.
And it made it very hectic because she was like, oh, can we also add on, like, two of the mother of the groom, or, like, mother of the groom, mother of the bride? But then it was like, okay, I can't, like, I need to make sure everyone else who was expected to have hair and makeup done
first,
but I don't know who it was. That was the hard part, was because I didn't know who all had paid for hair and makeup, so I was like, okay.
It's messy.
Yeah. So there was an angry mother of the groom as well, and then she was like, oh, well, I told her 2 months ago, and I was like, okay, well, she never told me that.
That's not your problem, though.
Exactly.
Right? And it's awkward to be put in that situation. Yeah.
But it was very interesting because I knew someone that was also in the wedding party, and she was like, whoa. She was like, whoa, Greta's kind of being stern. Like, she's known me since I was a little girl. Yeah. So she was, like, very surprised. She was like, whoa, who are you?
All business.
I know. Well, I was like, well, I've been in this business a while. And I'm like, this
doesn't fly.
That's not my problem.
Yeah.
Because also the bride was asleep, so they couldn't even go and ask her.
Oh, my God.
Because she was tired. And I was like, oh, my gosh, this is like
crazy. Messy. Yeah, messy.
And then they ended up being, like, two other girls that were, like, already in the... Not in the wedding party, but they ended up doing the mother of the groom's hair and makeup. Oh. And I already got paid beforehand, and...
Oh.
So I was like, I still don't know what to do with that, which that was a good question to ask you. So if, like, someone, if they already do their own thing, but they already paid you, you don't give them a refund?
No, I don't. Yeah. I don't do any refunds because, like, say you're hired for a job, and you're supposed to do 4 makeup, and you... do 4 makeup, or say you do 3, but I'm still going to pay you for 4 because that's what you were contracted to do, because we have an agreement. Like, I told you you were going to get paid this amount for this many services and this timing, so I'm going to pay you for that, right? Yeah. And if that changes, then usually what happens is I'll have somebody else come in and take their slot. So I make sure that I know the timeline. I know exactly how many services and who's getting what. So, you know, like it's all very organized. Everyone knows where everyone's going to be. And this is all in a contract too. So the location, the timing, and who's getting what services is all listed in writing, signed by me, as well as the bride or the mom or whoever's in charge. And it's all paid for beforehand. So when we show up, we know exactly what's going down. And then if anything changes, so I allow them, because hair and makeup is the same price, I allow them to swap for anything as long as it matches the number of services that we had provided or had agreed upon. And then if they add, then obviously they just need to make sure that that's paid for. But I always tell everyone, I'm like, make sure that everyone is 100% confirmed, because I do not do refunds. Yeah. Because once this is confirmed, we're not changing it. And that's really hard to stick on. And sometimes I had a situation where the mom died the week of the wedding. It was traumatizing. And they still went through with the wedding, because why wouldn't you, right? Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, 100% I'm going to give you your money back. Yeah. Like no problem. That's a pretty fair. I'm like, she's no longer with us. Yeah. So, but I mean, have a heart, right? Yeah. But also have policies so you don't have to look like a jerk. Yeah. Right? So, and if you set that expectation up front with a client, then they're going to respect you more, and then you're not going to have to run into any of these like crazy problems. So really be about your business in the beginning, and people will take you seriously, and then it just saves you so much heartache and headache and drama for sure. Oh yeah. So, but it's hard to like stand on that and stand in that and have people respect you, because it feels mean sometimes. I know. You're like, I'm so mean, but also you're not. You're running a business. Like, this is not feelings, it's business, right? It's business, yeah. And just like when I first hired you, I was like, okay, look, this is how things go down. This is who I am. This is how I communicate. This is how we work together. And I set that expectation because I didn't do that with people before you, and things got weird and things got rocky. But now I'm like, look, this is just how I am. Like, I'm pretty straightforward. And I'm going to tell you if I don't like something, and then that we should fix it, and that we should train on it. Which is understandable, because you hired us. Yes. So. But some people don't like that. Yeah. So, but I feel like when you have that conversation, when you're like interviewing with somebody that you're working, like potentially going to be working with and hiring, have that tough conversation in the beginning, so it's not weird and awkward later. Yeah, for sure. And also even having like the right tone of voice and like the compassion in your voice, like just be a good person as you're being. Yeah, no, you are. So it's not hard. You're just like, okay, this is how we're gonna do things. Yeah. So yeah, cool. Well, other than like money and contracts and like changing things day of, is there anything else that you've kind of run into that you feel like should not have happened? Like people adding on services, that's always gonna happen. Yeah. Trying to think. Not yet. Honestly, I don't even think I do. I mean, because like I'm trying to think of even like past experiences, and I'm like, the only things that I can really think of is like, oh well. She's like, wait. I'm like, just kidding. I knew I have something. People like completely not liking their makeup. Yeah. And wanting to change everything, or it's like they really just want to change one thing, but they don't know how to like say it. Mm-hmm. Well, that goes back to like setting the tone for the appointment. So not just with like who you work with, but your clients as well. So when I do consultations, I'm like very thorough. If they're like, well, I don't know, good, because then it's like you can go. You back avoid on your that word. Situation. Yep. Yeah. And some people like just aren't happy with themselves, and there's nothing you can do about that. And usually, right when they sit down, they're like, "Can you erase my wrinkles?" I'm like, "Well, no." Not You're beautiful. Surgeon. You have smile lines because you smile, and you have crow's feet because you laugh. Like, that's a good thing. Yeah. It's not because you're ugly and old. It's because you had a good life. Like, and that's a very nice way of saying that, because that is also like giving them joy, being like, okay, well, I'm a joyful person. Like, flip this. This is not negative. This is a positive thing. And 100% it is. Yeah, I'm like, oh, you smile? Yeah. Your face creases. Me too. I was like, yay! So if you change that from a negative into a positive, it kind of helps a little bit, and then it helps make them feel a little bit better about themselves, and then they're going to be happy with what you do. I mean, it's kind of psychological. It's not about makeup sometimes. It's about making people feel comfortable with themselves, and a lot of people are just not. Like, they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror. They think they're fat. They think they're ugly. They think they're, like, whatever they think about themselves. Yeah. And that comes out when you're doing someone's makeup, because it's very intimate. It does. So, consultation, and if they don't know what they want, then show them pictures and be like, what do you like about this? And then I always ask, what do you not like about this? Mm-hmm. So if someone can't tell me something that they like, I make sure that I know what they don't like. Yeah. So I pull up a full glam makeup, I'll pull up super natural makeup, and then I'll pull up something in between, and usually I can get an idea of like where we're at on this thing. And if they're like, okay, I like really full makeup, but I don't really like to wear makeup. I'm like, perfect. You want your features to be enhanced, but you don't want to look like a clown. Got it. I don't do clown makeup. And sometimes you have to just say that. Like, I don't do drag makeup. I don't do clown makeup. I do very natural, beautiful, timeless makeup. And
because usually whenever you think bridal makeup, that's what you think of. Is like very natural, timeless. Because, I mean, that's...
your aesthetic.
Yeah.
My aesthetic.
Yeah.
That's why we do bridal. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be doing makeup and training in makeup for pageants.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
Very different worlds.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's people that do both, and so they're a little cross, and some artists are glam and some artists are natural, and they don't know who you are because they haven't done their research on you. You just showing up and a bunch of bridesmaids are there like, okay, don't make me look like a clown. And you're like, okay. Because I hear it every single wedding. So if you pull up your Instagram or pull up your portfolio and be like, hey, this is kind of work I do. Do you like this? And if like, no, okay, well, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. Then I pull up something that they would like, what they are explaining, and then kind of work off of that reference photo. Photos are everything.
Yeah.
Because my idea of a glam look and your idea of a glam look are very different. Yeah. Or someone that's 80 that's like, I want to look glam. And I'm like, okay, glam to them is a little bit of pink lipstick.
Yeah.
And no foundation.
Like just like a little bold lip and maybe some blush.
And I'm like, okay, that's not...
eyeliner if they're feeling frisky.
Yeah, like no lashes. Don't put lashes on them. So it's just different. So I think clear communication, photos for sure, and making sure you have a full understanding of what it is that they think that they like, and then executing that. So, but some people you're just never going to make happy, and that's about 10%. So the more you do, the more you're going to run into like these crazy scenarios.
Yeah. And what about like whenever like the makeup's already done, process of consultation's already finished, and you did what
you thought that they wanted.
You heard them say that they want. How would you go about?
And they're not happy with it?
Yeah. And they're like, I want to wash it off. I'm just going to do it myself.
Then they're dramatic. And I think again, that's very, very, very rare. It's not going to happen a lot. And if it does, I think it's just they're either stressed or they don't like what they see in the mirror. And you can't change that. So you just have to not take it personally and be like, look, I did everything that I could, that I knew that I could have done as far as like consultation and prepping and all of the work. And like, you are good at what you do in your craft, and you like... be confident in that, and don't let somebody like that just totally destroy you and your ability and your skill and how you think that you're good or not. Like, don't let that affect that piece, because they'll make you question your whole career, and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm a terrible artist and I know nothing, and why am I even doing this? I've been there.
Yeah.
So just know that like, yeah, you're gonna run into those situations, and really prepare yourself for it. And maybe,
just don't take anything
maybe refuse
personally.
the service. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes, you just can't make people happy and be like, I'm so sorry. And if it's easier and you have it in your budget to just give them a refund and move on, then sometimes do it. I've had to do that sometimes, because I'm like, I'm going to wash my hands of you because you're a crazy psycho person, and I'm not going to deal with this. Like, it's not worth the money. So here's your money. Go do your own makeup. I'll see you later. Yeah. So that's... Yeah.
Just like, also don't even have the energy waking up that early, like giving them a refund.
Yeah, but all of that goes into like how you prepare your clients and set the tone. Like, I make sure all my clients follow us on Pinterest and Instagram, and I send out like a detailed email list of like, okay, exfoliate your face, moisturize. These are all the things you need to do in order for your makeup to look good. I can only do my part if you do yours. Is basically what I tell them, and I make sure that my brides. Like, water. Hydrate. Don't get drunk the night before and have bags on your eyes. No. So really preparing them and educating them, which sometimes is overwhelming because people have so much information. I don't know. It just helps. It's a lot. Like, it took me a long time to get to where I am now and be able to like have those emails and the PDF templates and pictures and all that. Like, it just takes time. But if you keep that in the back of your mind, like, okay, how can I help my clients be more prepared for an appointment so this is better for like everybody? Think of ways that just make people's lives easier.
Yeah, and just mainly thinking about, okay, what can I do now instead of looking at the wide.
Right.
Like,
focus on you, because what works for you may not be what works for me, but there are some things like contracts, payments, those are all pretty standard. And just how you like communicate with your clients. Some people prefer text or a call or an email. Like, it's just whatever works for your people, because you're going to attract different people than I do. So if you're like, okay, well, that works for Katie, but that's not going to work for me, then just don't be stuck on that, because everyone can do things differently and still be successful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, well, this was great.
Awesome. Yes, this is awesome.
Well, if you have any questions in the future, you know where I'm at. And
Of course.
Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Follow Gretta, you guys, because she is amazing.
Yes, you guys can find me at Gretta's Glamgram on Instagram, and then Gretta's Bridal Glam on Google.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and being here and being vulnerable, because I know,
Yeah.
hard to talk about some of this stuff.
I
did it. Okay, well, until next time.
Yes, thank you.
Yay. This was good.